Adrian actually submitted a question. She asked me to read it, so I'll start with her question. So take a moment to think about it, and then I'll ask for hands again who wants to go first. She asked, what motivates you and what frustrates you about the tribe? Take a moment to think. Two-part question. What motivates you as a candidate, as a person, as a potential tribal leader? And what frustrates you about the tribe? So, somebody want to go first? Okay, Court.
I'd say the number one thing that motivates me is the people getting involved. I mean, it's just awesome. I've noticed a lot more people coming out of the, for lack of a better term, woodwork, and coming out and getting more involved. And I regret that I wasn't more involved in younger years, you know, with a lot of the decisions that were made. I believe I was tricked into voting certain ways, and I wasn't told the whole story. And I was young and naive, and I've learned from those mistakes, and that's why I'm here, to try to move on, you know. And so that's what motivates me as far as, you know, the people. And what frustrates me the most is people in leadership positions that have no regard for others. Thanks.
Thank you, Brenda.
What motivates me is my dad, my children, and my tribal family. I want a future. I want a long future for our tribe. I don't want to see our tribe disappear in 2 more generations. I don't want to see that everything that our ancestors went through and experienced, and now where we are now, I don't want it all to go back to the government. I want our tribe to have a positive place in history books, in the state of Oregon, and in the United States. What frustrates me is that politics is number one. Politics comes before people. The behaviors of some of our leaders, the behaviors of some of our tribal members, it doesn't fit into the Indian way anymore. The Indian way is where we are all equal, we're horizontal, and no one is more important than the next. Every tribal member is valuable. And I don't see this in our tribe right now. I see a lot of power struggles. I see a lot of abuse of power. And it can be pretty frightening at times. And I don't know, well, I do know, but it's a struggle to talk to my children and my grandchildren and other youth. It's a struggle to be in a place like the general council meetings where tribal council is arguing and membership is arguing, and you're trying to set an example for your children, but what our children are watching is very negative. And so it's frustrating for me that this is what they are learning, and it scares me that this is how they'll behave, and that our tribe will not have its due place in history.
I kind of look at this as a vicious circle. The things that motivate me kind of go hand in hand with the things that frustrate me. I'm motivated by our education. I'm motivated when I see our college graduates come out of school with bachelor's, master's, and doctorates. I'm motivated by that. I'm frustrated when these same people don't have jobs within our tribe, that they don't have a place to go. I'm motivated, and what brought me back to the tribe in the first place was swim. So that motivated me to come back to the tribe because of the poor management of money and investments that were taking place. It frustrates me to see us 20 years later basically in the same spot. I find that frustrating. I'm motivated by our Constitution. A Constitution that was written by our elders to take care of us, the tribal members. And I'm frustrated when our leadership manipulates that Constitution and takes advantage of our membership. That's frustrating. Thank you.
Yeah. Chris and then Kevin.
What's the time limit again?
2 or 3 minutes. I'll
Just
get
kidding, I'll keep it simple. Well, what motivates me is the fact that when you're a Grand Ronde tribal member, your life is just made so much better. You are given so many benefits, you're given so many opportunities. It is truly a good thing to be a Grand Ronde tribal member, and I'm motivated to try and keep this going for future generations. It kind of ties into what frustrates me, because what frustrates me about the tribe, especially the tribal government and the organization, and I think some other candidates have alluded to this, is that the politics infiltrates so much of the decision making, and it's getting to be more and more partisan. I'm worried that I might get reelected and you'll have other people on council who will oppose stuff just because I'm the one proposing it. They'll say, well, if Chris is trying to make this happen, we've got to stop it from happening. And I dealt with that for 9 years, and it bothers me still that it's not acknowledged to the level that it actually exists. It really is ever present throughout the tribal organization, and I think it'd be better for tribal leadership to acknowledge it sometimes than to pretend as if it's not going on. But the politics are very partisan. They're getting particularly nasty during this election, and that's one of the things that frustrates me. The last time I ran for council in 2010, I believe I was reelected along with Jack Giffen and Steve Bob, and I felt that campaign was, all three of us, was very positive. That campaign season, we talked about what changes we would like to do for the tribe and how they would benefit the members. And it just seems over the last several years, the elections have gotten nastier and nastier because of the politics. So that's what frustrates me.
Thank you. Kevin.
I think it's very difficult for me to talk about frustrations, to talk about I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated, and we do get frustrated. The counterintuitive part for me about being frustrated is sometimes that when we get frustrated and it overruns us so much that we forget about the blessings in which we have, and we forget about the struggles in which our people and our ancestors had to go through to get to that point. And then what it becomes about being a member of the tribe, and sometimes it gets there, is that what happens then is then it becomes all frustration. And it feels like at times right now when we're going through this enrollment issues and we go through council meetings that it's all frustration. And I warn all the people about that it's not just frustration. While we are going through a difficult time right now, this is all that it is a difficult time. This is all that it is. Our wherewithal will be how well we can deal with this. What we're doing is we are showing our children how well we can do with this. Our ancestors showed us how well to deal with things. That's what motivates me. I think about those people, those eight people that passed away and those 8 people that were born coming up the road trail right there. I think about them. That's what motivates me. I think about how difficult it was to be a woman and walk up from Southern Oregon all the way to Grand Ronde and have a baby with no doctor there. That's what motivates me. If they can get through that, we can get through any enrollment piece as well too. We truly can. But if we keep dividing each other, we keep talking about stuff, we keep talking bad about one another, it'll make it harder. So what motivates me is walking, and I think about those people on the trail. The youth. You know, that's what motivates me. I see my beautiful children that are here. I get an opportunity. I'm a college counselor and advisor at the tribe. I'm a GED teacher. I get to spend time with the youth. That's what motivates me. There's some beautiful children, wonderful kids. We have one right here that's, I don't want to call you a kid, but she was just recognized by Unity. That's a phenomenal opportunity. Those of us that spent time over there, you know that where they're operating, what they're doing. You know, we raise our hands to you. That's what motivates me, is to continue providing opportunities for our youth. I was given a lot of opportunities. I'm thankful for that. That was given to me because people suffered. My family suffered. Your family suffered and struggled. That's what motivates me, is to get up and to serve. And then I think about my family. I think about what it's like for 12 young children to be ripped off the reservation at a young age, when the generation that grew up that I know nothing about, the racism that they had to feel, you know, to be beaten and spanked because they were Native. That's motivating to me. I want to make sure that our kids never have to deal with that again. Like I said, what's frustrating to me is that we fight amongst ourselves like we are now, chewing our own tail right now on little pictures, little things. While enrollment is a big deal right now, ultimately in the big picture, it's very little. That we're fighting amongst ourselves and we're losing track of the big picture here. And that's taking care of the youth and providing opportunities that we can move on. And I don't want to discredit or disregard any of the candidates and what you said, or what our council and what they're doing right now. But this is truly what's in my heart, is that we get so frustrated, we get so worked up and so angry that we miss out on the big picture.
Thank you, Kev. So I'll ask the audience for questions now. If folks want to just maybe stand and ask your question. If it's anyone in particular, you're welcome to do that. But I may turn it as well. Yeah, and Adrian has a second question. But I'll wait, ask for other folks to get a chance first, and I have a second question from Adrian as well, if folks don't have a question, or I will ask it in a few minutes. Anyone have a question for the audience?
For the candidates?
For the candidates, yeah.
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
My name is Maxine Clements, and I want to know how this enrollment issue kind of got out in the public, and individual families started getting involved and testifying against one another and all that. That just seemed like a real breach of, you know, I mean, I would be really ticked off if somebody gave away my family information and started telling people to comment on what they thought about it or whatever. So if anybody knows, that's what I would like to know. Because it's very disconcerting to me to see people calling other families down and, you know, saying, oh, well, you don't belong or whatever. You know, that's really terrible. That's about the lowest thing that can happen. And I just think the tribe should be grateful that they're a tribe. Because I know a lot of people that helped them get there. And they've already long since forgotten all those people, you know, they don't even, but, you know, I guess people don't think about that stuff.
So maybe I can, it's a great question, Maxine, appreciate it. Maybe I can frame it a little bit broader than her specific question about the enrollment families. But I think it's true that it's clear to me, at least, that some of the members on council do not take their oath of office, and that they will not share confidential information beyond the room of that executive session, or the 9 people that are discussing very confidential things. That is broken fairly often. Do we have your word that you, if elected, will maintain a level of confidentiality and put an end to the fact that a lot of things do get leaked on council right now for political purposes, in my opinion? And maybe we can speak to that a little bit as well. So maybe that's a general question for all 5 of you all. And if you want to speak to whether, one, you think that's true or not, and what your position is of whether you can uphold that commitment, or do you feel that maybe more transparency is needed and maybe more needs to get out? Maybe not enough is being out. So think about that for a bit. We'll let Ann go first. She raised her hand, and we'll go from there.
Maxine, I really don't. Every family is different, so I can't speak on how all the information is released. I don't always think it's just tribal council. I think there's other entities involved sometimes, and information comes out that way as well. or some of the families themselves that released information. So there's all kinds of ways. But as far as confidentiality, I don't think there's too much confidentiality. I believe there does need to be more transparency, not so much on individuals' enrollment records and what's happened to them. I have a real problem with that. This is their most private thing, and it's in our Constitution that it's supposed to be confidential. It's written, that one item is written in there, but it's not. And you know, I do know some families have gone out and spoke out publicly on their own, but I also know families that have not, and that information is still out there and all over the internet and the web and Facebook and everything else. But as far as confidentiality goes on a whole, I do believe we need a lot more transparency. A lot of things takes place that the membership is unaware of. And but when it comes to the enrollment, I do believe that as a council member, they definitely it should be held in confidence. But like I said, there's all kinds of other things out there and information gets released.
Brenda?
Just a reminder, we edit these, so if there are any awkward pauses or anything or technical difficulties, don't sweat it. Well, I'm kind of torn on this because I believe the tribe could be more open. There are certain things that I don't understand why they're confidential. On the other hand, unless there's a policy change to make something not confidential, you are bound by your oath of office to keep it that way. Because I served on council for 9 years, Brian's correct. It is a problem. I got an email yesterday from someone who was not a big fan of mine, and based on this email, I could tell they had talked with a council member because there was information in this email that could only have come from a council member. So it is a problem, and it will continue to be a problem. I think what happens is, as Brian noted, it's damaging information gets leaked strategically, and a lot of the time it's done verbally, so you can't ever prove to that these council members did it. The only solution to this problem, I think, is just to be more open, so it's not an issue, and this is one of those things that I think would hopefully get back to our Constitution. A change in our Constitution is just some sort of guarantee of openness, a right of tribal members to certain types of information that is not left up to council. Because the way it is now, to give you an example, the fiscal management ordinance is worded in a way that they don't have to turn audited financial statements over to tribal members. You have to go in there physically to inspect our tribe's audited financial statements, and that's something that could be changed by a simple ordinance amendment. But it just hasn't happened yet. But that's an example. Other than that, I think the membership should be privy to a lot of this information. I think there's certain information when it's 5 years old. I don't see what's restricting the government from letting members have access to it. I think there should be like a timeline in which information becomes free. Thank you. Brenda.
I was talking specifically about that case. I was talking to a young man over at Spirit Mountain, and he was going to the general council meeting the next day, and he said one family was going to be testifying against his family. And I thought, why would that be a public forum? You know, I mean, he was a real young guy. I just asked him, you know, because I had seen him at the meeting, and I asked him about his situation, and he said, well, I'm going to the meeting, you know, and such family is going to be testifying against my family. And good grief. I mean, I thought that was pretty, you know, that's below the belt.
I think that's part of the division, and you throw fear in there, and who's safe, and who saved you, and I saved you, so now you have to do this, and all this politicking that goes on. It's pretty frightening. I kind of agree with Chris. I think there are some things we need to know that we don't, and I think that applies pressure, and then the rumors start, and it's kind of a vicious circle. But I don't believe that all of the current tribal council members keep their confidentiality. I think they do leak things strategically for political reasons. Running for tribal council for the past few years, I think my hair is more curlier because the things that I hear makes my hair want to curl. It's pretty wild. And I am all about confidentiality. I don't like rumors. When I hear a rumor, either I trash it or I go and ask the person, because it's not doing us any good. It's not. If you're playing the political game and you think by talking about someone and that you're going to get ahead, you're not. You're really going to damage the whole tribe, and we're going to continue on like this. So I do believe in confidentiality, and I will not be talking about people. Or,
So there is a code of ethics then?
yes,
Okay.
but I think people are kind of free to interpret that how they want.
Okay,
Yeah.
got you.
Thank you, Brenda. Let's go.
This enrollment thing, man, it's really been a headache, hasn't it? You know, that thing started a long, long time ago. A lot of people don't know that, you know, there's people that have known about this and have conspired and done all kinds of things to move towards disenrolling families, and they go above and beyond bad ethics, you know, in my opinion. And I feel in my heart that, you know, we all kind of turned our backs on our own races with the 99 Amendment, you know, and you know, we turned our back on our own people, and you know, it's just me, you know, I just have to say it sometimes, you know, because it wasn't right, and it was a big decider of my way of thinking for the future of our tribe, you know, when that happened. And and then also with the, you know, and I hope this answers your question on the enrollment. You know, it started a long time ago.
Well, I just wanted to know how it got in the public forum, like this one did.
Yeah.
That was my question.
Well, there's a lot of people that, you know, yeah, now we can be in front of a committee and you know, be judged in front of a committee, but is that really fair? Where's other people going to be there to stand up for you? You know, there's other tribal members, you know, they can't be there now for you like they want to be. You know, they can't go to, you know, we can't show up like in a council meeting. We can come with all of our family and friends, and, you know, and in this enrollment committee, it's just the immediate family, that's it. You know, there's nobody else, no other support. And so, you know, I just feel that a lot of it has to do with the process that has been in place. And it's not just the process, but the people behind the process and the motives and intentions by those people. And I think we really have to just put it all out on the table, and there is a certain confidentiality that all of us have to, you know, abide by, just even as tribal members for our tribe. You know, in the public eye. PR is everything for a lot of people in their positions, especially council. So, you know, when a council member says something, you know, they're representing the tribe, and so therefore, the reputation of the tribe is at stake. And if their leadership traits and characteristics aren't, you know, what the tribe as a membership or even as a government, you know, there's got to be some kind of consequences, and I just don't see any consequences in place for anybody in these kind of situations. So, you know, it's an unfortunate situation. I believe 100% in the confidentiality, but I also feel that the Constitution has been twisted and has been, you know, used for bad rather than good. You know, and I don't think that that's the intent of the Constitution. So.
Well,
Anyway,
didn't the council, didn't they punish Val Shecker for something? And I don't know, that's the same kind of a ethical.
That's kind of a different situation, I
Well,
think,
it's
and
not
I
ethical
really am not
violation.
even into that.
Well, I'm just saying, you know, they could.
But,
You know.
yeah, you know, there is, you know, depending on the severity of the circumstances, but, you know, they're not gonna move forward with bad ethics unless they have their Ts crossed and their Is dotted.
Well, that's what it is bad.
You know,
ethics
so-
in my eyes.
So they already know what's gonna happen before they do it.
Okay, thank you.
Kevin?
We've traveled the whole gamut here today. Just really quick, like here in 5 inches, I want to go on record for saying like, whoa, we've gone everywhere here.
You guys are good.
Yeah,
It's good.
yeah, yes. It's important to note that when we talk about confidentiality, when we talk about these types of things, information in a small community, we're a very relatively small community. Information is power. Information is a form of currency. And it's the standard form of currency that's in Grand Round right now. You know, we all have nobody's gonna sit up here and say, nope, I don't believe in confidentiality. No one will say that, I promise you. But if elected, I guarantee you, it's gonna be up to interpretation of these people here on what they think confidentiality is. And whether or not they're gonna buy into that system of currency. And this is truly what it is. I sat up here last year in Grand Round. Same kind of question, do you believe in confidentiality? Of course I believe in confidentiality. It went right down the line to every candidate. But as soon as those people got elected, that's truly where the wherewithal is. That's where you see. And how this works is it works in Grand Round, and I'm not here to talk bad about the system. It's the system that is in place, that has been in place. And if we try to buck that system, then you gotta have an intervention that is effective to go to replace it. This is a system that's hundreds of years in the making. This is something that our ancestors have done. While right now it don't work for us, we don't like it, essentially this is truly what it is. So yes, I believe in confidentiality. I really do. There is some information that some families don't need to have. The situation that we have with families testifying against families, it's difficult. It's ugly, it's hard.
Why would it even be a topic of at a general council meeting?
And
Out loud?
this is only my theory,
Oh,
and it's based on my youngness and naivety. I don't have all the answers. We are a relatively young government. We are a very, very
Yeah.
young government. We've only really been in existence, governmentally wise, policy, procedures, constitutionally, since 1983. And prior to that, it was 1934. That's not very long.
right.
So when we talk about this enrollment piece, I truly believe we are going through an identity crisis right now. And so when I said earlier, it's how we handle that identity crisis is what determines how well we will be in the future. I truly believe and know that for the fact. So when you talk about airing this stuff out, two families, one family against another family, truly sorry for all that, you know, the families that have gone through.
Yeah.
We went through a disenrollment.
Yeah.
I know it hurts, but it's because we're a young government. We're getting better. Things will get better. It starts with electing leaders who are going to work hard and who are going to sit down and focus on some ideals. But when we start talking about two families going against each other, this is a young government. We're also a community. Things are mixed up. We all know that we can stand up here and say that it is what it is, but we're an Indian community. There is the governmental piece, and then there is the other piece that goes on. And that's the value of it. And we all know that. We all know that's how it works. That's the truth. I honor that. As a young man, I'm learning how to operate within this system as well too. If we can get people that are ethical, I believe that we do have ethical tribal council. We have ethical leaders up there. But to have me stand here and ethically kind of decharacterize some leaders, it doesn't do any good. We're a young government. I think we'll get better. I think it's in the hands of the people. You guys have the vote. You vote who you want for leaders. You put pressure on them, you go, you knock on their door, you knock on their office. If you don't want to be a part of the system, then don't go and ask them for information. Don't force their hands, because they have to serve you. When someone, I go knock on tribal council doors, say, hey, give me a piece of information. We all do it. We know it's the truth. So if you don't want it, we want to change the system. It starts with the people. I don't know what else to be about it other than, I don't mean to be so verbose, but that's the truth according to my eyes.
Okay, thank you. So, go ahead, Brenda.
Can I say